Hi, I'm Fenelle Belle, and I'm a teacher here at the Piedmont Art Department. And today I'm going to talk to you about just some real basic color mixing ideas. And we're just going to go through a few basics, so by the time you're done with this, you should understand the beginnings of how colors mix and how that's important. So you probably already know about primary colors. We have yellow, red, and blue are the primary colors. And primary colors, and I'm just going to start by giving you little swatches here. Primary colors are the colors that we need because they're the colors we can't mix. So we need to start with primary colors because they're sort of pure colors. They're colors that then will be used as ingredients for the next set of colors. When you take two primary colors and you mix them together, what happens is, and let's see if we can do it this way with the brush. Sometimes I mix with a brush, sometimes I mix with the palette knife. What happens is you get what's called a secondary color. So yellow and blue create a green. And depending on how much blue I put in here, I'll get a stronger green, or a bluer green, or a yellower green. Red and yellow, you probably already know this. Actually, that's too much red because red's a really strong color. And red and yellow are going to start to make an orange color. Again, that's a secondary color there, right? It's in between these two primaries. And blue and red are going to make some kind of a purple. So all of these colors vary depending upon what kind of color you put into it. So a warm red will make one kind of purple, a cooler red will make another kind of purple. So what we have right now is we have the primaries, and then we have the secondary colors. And you can get the secondaries out of a tube also, but if you learn how to mix them, it'll be much stronger. So now that you know how to make use the primary to make the secondary colors, I want to tell you about, I want to tell you one thing. You could then mix a primary and a secondary to make what's called a tertiary color. And a tertiary color are the in-between colors. So we have yellow and green, and then we make a yellow-green. So all the in-between colors. And then that's what makes up the color wheel. That's this is sort of a color wheel which has both the pure colors here and then a lighter tint of the same color here. And then there's one other really important relationship to understand with colors, which is there's this very special relationship with colors that are directly across from each other on the color wheel. And just so that you sort of see this, this is, I could move this anywhere, but in this case it's yellow with purple. And they're called complementary colors. They're directly opposite each other on the color wheel. And I want to just show you what they do. When you put some yellow here, and you put, this is our version of purple today, depends what happens. And we're going to actually spread this out a little bit. And we're going to spread this out a little bit. What happens is, when you mix them together, so when you put them next to each other, they actually sort of vibrate a little bit, and they can actually create a lot of excitement because they have a special relationship which has a slight antagonistic piece to it. But when you mix them together, what happens is you get what's called a neutral. And that means that you end up with a color that's neither yellow nor purple. You're sucking the intensity out of the yellow by adding a little purple. You're sucking the intensity of the purple by adding a little bit of yellow. And right in the middle is a place where it's basically going to be some kind of a muddy brown, might be a little gray. And it is great for landscapes, if you're painting landscapes. But this complementary relationship is something that's really important to understand because they can add excitement and a dynamic quality if they're sitting next to each other, or they can suck the life out of each other when they get mixed. So this is the complementary relationship. We have yellow and purple, and as they mix, they become more neutralized. That works for any two colors across the color wheel. So we can have blue and orange, or another complementary mix. Red and green are directly across from each other, so when they're next to each other, they're dynamic. When they mix, they neutralize each other. There's just one or two, couple more relationships I want to talk to you about, going back to this color wheel, that you might find useful. This is when you take three neighboring colors. It's called an analogous relationship. And what you're doing is you're basically using three colors which are neighbors. I kind of like to think of them as cousins. I'll show you on a color where it's a little bit easier to see because it's lighter. And if you use that as a palette, you will always have a very harmonious palette, but you have to be a little careful because it can get dull or boring. One other relationship we use all the time is something called a split complementary. So the complementary normally would go directly across to the purple, but instead you don't use that purple, you go to either side of it. And what it does is it gives you a little more variety, but it still has that dynamic relationship. And then the last relationship is called a triad. And what it is, so actually you can see the primaries are a triad. They're colors which are equidistant across the color wheel. And they basically maintain a very active relationship with each other. But you don't have to use the primaries. You also could just shift it a little bit and use tertiaries or secondaries. And what it means is these colors will all work well together, but they will stay very vibrant and alive. So that's going to get you started with color. There's tons more to learn, but then you just got to play.